wants. That means we have to monitor the demand. This is one aspect of the economy. Second is supply. Supply is you need goods and services in order to fulfill those demands. So if you misutilize the resources for things which are not needed, then those resources will not be available to fulfill certain basic things. Now what is happening is China is going everywhere buying all the rare metals. They made got lot of dollars from USA by exporting to USA, and then using all those dollars to buy all the rare metals in Africa, in South America, and other places. So that also creates imbalance in the society. Means the resources should not be concentrated only in one country or in one area, but they have to be properly balanced in their utilization. So that is basically what brings dynamism, is on one side monitoring the demand, other side monitoring the supply of things, and the third is purchasing power. If people don't have the money, if they don't have the purchasing power, then even if the goods are there and even if the demand is there, the equation is not completed. So you don't really have a very satisfying economy. So now these days inflation is rampant all over the world because of the oil prices or gas prices or wars or whatever the reasons might be, and concentration of wealth, which is one of the biggest causes for low purchasing power. Now, and this nobody wants to tackle, because this concentration of wealth, the people who are controlling the world economy or who are controlling the governments, nobody dare to tell this cat, which is controlling all the wealth. And that is where the fraud comes in. And it is not, so Baba says, no individual should be allowed to accumulate any physical wealth without the clear permission or approval of the collective body. They don't want a collective body which is going to reign them. So they want political people in power who will continue to tolerate and accept this disparities of wealth. So the work of crowd is not an easy one, because you are fighting against power structure, the status quo, which is, so the only way to do it is over a period of time to change the psychology of the people, and that's a long-term process. But anyway, that's not my topic today, but I thought that at least I should mention that the dynamism comes from transmuting physical longings to psychic longings and psychic longings to spiritual longings. So Prama Samriddhi, okay, we discussed. Then Prama Riddhi will be awareness, attitude change, and lifestyle change. That is what is going to bring about Prama Riddhi. If there is no awareness, information is there, data is there, but that awareness is not there. So when the awareness is lacking, then people can continue to be exploited. They think, oh, BJP is doing very good, very good, very good, because they don't have the awareness of what should be, what dogmas their economic policy is built on, or it is not within common man's reach. So awareness, but even if you have awareness, okay, walking is a good exercise, okay, you are aware of it, but there is no positive attitude, there is no positive bent of mind. So unless there is an attitudinal change, you cannot bring about, awareness is useless. So along with awareness, we also need attitudinal change. And along with attitudinal change, it has not to be temporary, but it has to become a permanent way of life. And that is why lifestyle change has to be there. And that's where our entire ideology comes into play. Because when people get a balanced philosophy of life, and how to live, what to do, what not to do, then their mind can be at peace, in harmony. Even when the whole society is going up and down, we can maintain our mental equanimity or mental equilibrium. So this is what brings about Prama Riddhi. And the third is the Prama Siddhi, which is the spiritual sadhana, samarpan, all this. That we'll discuss today. Our topic is a spiritual topic, which is about Prama Siddhi. Because without mantra chaitanya, there can be no Prama Siddhi. So that is what we will be discussing today. But I want to discuss it from a different perspective. First, I want to explain something, that the entire world intellectual pursuits or way of thinking is covered by certain materialistic dogma. For example, the scientists do not even recognize the existence of mind. They say mind is an emergent property of the brain. It is the brain. You know, this whole universe is being looked at only from the physical materialist point of view. This world is very huge. I'll give you some numbers just to give you a sense of how vast this universe is. But those scientists who are working on it, they have no understanding about supreme cognition, which we will be talking about, or supreme consciousness. They say there is nothing like that. They talk, okay, they talk about God particle, something in the brain, something in the atom, subatomic particle. They discover and then they say, oh, this is God particle. Well, it's nothing like that. You see, this universe, observable universe, consists of about 64 superclusters. Superclusters means there is a constellation of galaxies. Together they form a supercluster. There are 64 of them. The oldest one, which is many billions of light years away, was discovered by Indian astronomers, and they have called it Saraswati supercluster. It is 4 billion light years away from the Earth. Now, what is the concept of a light year? Light year means that the light travels at the speed of 3 lakh kilometers per second. 300,000 kilometers per second light travels. Now, in 1 year, Earth year, the light will travel about 6 trillion miles, or 9.5 million kilometers. No, million light years. If it travels so many kilometers, 9.5, trillion, 9.5 trillion kilometers it travels, in 1 year. So that is called 1 light year. And this, the size of this Milky Way galaxy in which we are, this is part of what is called Laniakea supercluster, the name which has been given, and Milky Way is a part of that supercluster. It is about 250 million light years wide, So, and this Milky Way itself is about 100,000 light years wide. Means 100,000 multiplied by 9.5 trillion kilometers. That is the size of just the Milky Way. And there are trillions of galaxies within a supercluster. Trillions of galaxies within one supercluster. So, and the nearest galaxy to the Milky Way galaxy is what is known as Andromeda galaxy. And that is 3.5 million light years away. And within this universe, of course, there are many stars. Each galaxy has many stars. And then they have their own, for example, there may be about 4,000 solar systems within the Milky Way. So our sun is just like a small dot within that entire Milky Way. If you look at the Milky Way, you will find in one of the arms, it's called Orion Spur arm, it's just like a dot. Our solar system with the 9 planets or 8 planets and some dwarf planets and some asteroids and things like that. So it's, when these things are not stable, everything is moving. It is a dynamic play, is moving. For example, as you know, the moon is moving around the earth. It is and it is moves at the speed of 1 kilometer per second. The moon is moving, and the earth is moving at 18 miles per second around the sun, and the sun is moving around the galaxy in an orbit at 220 kilometers per second. The sun is moving. So when it makes a complete round, it takes it many Earth years to complete, millions of Earth years to complete one round. It's called one galactic year. Now, within this, within one galaxy, there's a whole system of these stars and its planets. They are pulled by one another through gravity, and they are holding in place. Now, this dynamic dance which is going on, in that even sometimes the galaxies merge. And there are certain, like we say atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, positrons. When the two neutron stars come close to each other, then they move in a spiral. They are attracted by, there is attraction from one neutron star and another neutron star. And when they collide, it is called kilonova. It is this collision, this is Jadaspota. When this Jadaspota happens, it emits so much energy, which in 1 second, what our sun will emit in its entire lifetime. Just one collision of two neutron stars will emit many gamma waves, they have many different names for the things which come out of it, and gold and all these things which are created, they are just created out of pressure. So many of these metals and minerals, they are all created in the process. And every galaxy has a center point which nobody knows what it is. They call it black hole. It is a black hole. And it has the capacity to absorb, stars. Means the entire, and their diameter is millions of light years, the size of the black hole. And it completely absorbs, Where it goes, what happens, we don't know. The scientists are still trying to understand what is the nature of these black holes. Now, Baba gave a very important discourse one time, where if you might have read, Universal Man and Transcendental Entity, in which Baba talked about Jadaspota, Manasphota, and Chaitanyasphota. He said that in this creation, this Jadaspota is constantly taking place. So you have not to be worried about the thermal death of the universe, because it will create through clash. They say Big Bang or whatever name it is given, but when there is collision of different stars or different planets, then it also generates enough calories. It also generates, a lot of energy is created. So Jadaspota is constantly happening within this vast observable universe, which, as we already saw, it is beyond human comprehension what it is. Means, like I mentioned, Milky Way is 100,000 light years wide, light years wide. And the Andromeda Galaxy is 257 million light years wide. It's even bigger, it's more denser also. So in this universe where this Jadaspota is happening on the physical level, Baba said that when the human mind evolves, they are able to comprehend and to understand, because the human mind is more important is more developed, has a greater capacity than just the physical, what is present within the physical material objects. Now that is the entry point, for spirituality, because Manasphota happens, and when there is Manasphota, then there is the mental expansion. And Chaitanyasphota is because when there is Manasphota, there is also development of ego. When there is development of ego, then that also becomes an obstacle in our spiritual growth. But when that ego is surrendered, then that leads to Chaitanyasphota. So our sadhana is the way of how to sublimate the mind into Chaitanya, how to lead the mind to the higher and higher realms of consciousness. And in that discourse, Baba had mentioned that the Manas Phota will create the universal man. But the Chaitanya Sphota will create
universal man.
Spiritual man and ultimately transcendental entity, merger into the transcendental entity. So when it is into Nirvikalpa, then Nirguna Brahma, then non-attributional, then it becomes transcendental. But when it is the spiritual being is one who knows that Param Purush, I am the object of Parama Purusha. I am the object of that supreme cognition, supreme being. So we are the object and he is the subject. So that is what creates the spiritual man. He said there is no difference between spiritual man or spiritual being and the supreme entity. They become, because the ego completely disappears. Now this process appears simple when we talk about it in words, but in realization, it is not that easy. You know, I gave one class one time where I talked about Bhiksha, Diksha, Shiksha, Samiksha, Pariksha, and Pratishtha. Means when we are born, we are like totally vulnerable, totally dependent on other people. That is the state of mind, is that of begging. When we need milk from our mother, we cry, and the mother knows, okay, now the child is hungry, wants to feed the baby. So this state of mind is the state of Bhiksha. You know, in Thailand there are these millions of monks, every morning they go around begging. It is to recognize that, you know, we are in that, we have to not forget that we are dependent on others for our existence. Now the problem is that when our needs get fulfilled, then we forget it. One of the lessons to be learned from that is the sense of gratitude. That today, whatever I am because I have taken things from this earth, I have taken things from this society, I have taken help from so many people. That's how we become big. And today, when we become big, then we think that, oh, you know, people owe something to the society, I don't owe anything to anybody. But actually our entire existence is borrowed existence. So when we leave, we have to leave it behind. We don't take anything with us. We have to leave everything because it was all borrowed existence. The only thing which we carry, which is our own sanskara, which is in our mind. And that also we have to ultimately surrender. But we don't know how to do it. So the absence of gratitude is ego. So when we learn, and ego is one of the biggest obstacles in our spiritual growth. Now, how to sublimate this ego? We are carrying this ego. With this ego, we do everything, so we cannot give it up so easily. So it requires the grace of the Guru to take away this ego from us. So to get the grace of the Guru, we get Diksha. Unless people get Diksha, they don't receive his grace. After Diksha, they get direct grace. Baba, we come under the direct supervision of the Supreme. Everything is already present everywhere, but then it is just like, you know, a responsibility. The Guru takes the responsibility. You give Guru Dakshina, and then Guru takes the responsibility for your growth and for your guidance. So Diksha is a very important part of human growth, human evolution. Because until the animal stage, animal existence, cosmic mind is directly guiding those creatures. But when we reach to the point of human being, we are given a little bit of freedom. We may follow, we may not follow. We may do, we may not do. So, but when we get Diksha, then the Guru binds us to the Supreme. So it's a very important activity on this earth that everybody should be initiated in our Tantra Sadhana. So, and of course we will see, as we will discuss more about Mantra Chaitanya, that is the only way to move on the path of liberation. But because even when we get Diksha, we do not fully understand it. That is why we need Shiksha. Without education, we do not fully grasp the significance of Diksha. So that's why Baba said, knowing oneself is the real knowledge. So real education is not only just, like a money spinner, you get degrees and you pay money, you get certificate, and that is not real education. So Shiksha means that one has to understand, one has to develop Vivek, one has to develop Vairagya, one has to develop what is the purpose of existence and how to move towards that. So those things is the essence of, that's why Baba says, Sa Vidya Ya Vimukte. Actually, it was given by Maharishi Prashar. Also in one of his shlokas, he talks about Sa Vidya Ya Vimukte. Then after Diksha, Shiksha comes Samiksha. Baba used to do our Dharma Samiksha in order to, that whether we are following some things we miss. So therefore, it is always good to reflect on our own. Baba did Dharma Samiksha, but we can do our own Samiksha. Yeah, so Samiksha means reflection. So if there is no reflective capability developed through education, then there is not true education. Education should create in every person, in every child, the ability to reflect. That's what education is all about. Development of mind is all about, a capacity of reflection. And the more we can reflect, the better we can reflect, the more we can grow as a human being. And then after there is pratiksha, you have to wait. Because everything takes time to ripen. It doesn't ripen in one day. It takes time to ripen. You plant the tree, in order to get the fruits, you have to wait. For the child to be born, you have to wait. It doesn't happen overnight. There's a process, it takes time in this creation. So everything in our spiritual life also, it requires patience. If you don't find something is right, cannot react, just have to have patience, and then slowly things evolve, they develop, they grow, and that's how situations become better. Pratiksha. Pratiksha means to wait. And after pratiksha comes pariksha. Pariksha means examination, the test. We think, I am very spiritually evolved, spiritually developed. When crisis comes, we run away. Our ego comes into play and we think that I know better than everybody else. So many such, the mind plays different games. So all this is a part of the process. Life itself is a test in the life of a sadhak. The life itself puts challenges before us, and then we have to deal with that. And after this, if we pass these tests, then we get pratishtha. So pratishtha is like mantra siddhi. When we get attainment, when we get siddhi, then that is the stage of establishment, ensconcement. So Baba explained that in this universe there is the Karan Brahma. This universe is vibrational. Everything in this universe is vibrational, and that stance of the vibration where everything is dormant is the Karan Brahma. That is the non-causal entity. It is the causal, from where everything comes, where everything emanates. Now, if we only think in terms of material causes, then I think our conception will be very limited. So that's why I think we are trying through our spiritual practices to make people conscious that there is brain, but there is behind the brain there is mind, and behind the mind there is the consciousness, and that consciousness is present in the whole creation, but it is also present within us. There is no difference between the consciousness in this vast creation and consciousness within us. Just like if you have a sun and you see the light of that sun in the different ponds, these ponds are nothing. If there is no water in the pond, it is like a ditch. So if there is brain, it's just like a ditch, you can say. It's just like a pond with no water in it. But if the mind is active, a dead person has a brain, but there is no mind, active mind in it. So if there is water in the pond, then that gives you the capacity to receive signals and to send signals. So that ability of sending and receiving signals is the function of the mind. And the reflection of that consciousness on our mind is the unit consciousness. And the reflecting entity is the supreme consciousness. So the supreme consciousness, reflection in the human mind is the unit consciousness, and then there is the brain is just the receptacle in order to allow for this thing to happen. The more, so the first expression in this vibrational universe is of sound. And that sound is what we call Onkar Dhwani, is the, they are the creation, preservation and destruction all are embodied within that sound. That is Parashakti. That is Parabindu. And Baba has given many different names, different ways to explain it. In this discourse, Baba has said there is this basic faculty, then there is in the Karya Brahma, from Karan Brahma you come to Karya Brahma. The vowels represent the Karan Brahma. Karan Brahma. Karan Brahma is represented by the vowels, and Swar Varna, like A, E, U, like this, these are vowels. So they are the representations of the Karan Brahma. And Karya Brahma is the consonants. All the consonants. Karya Brahma. Karya Brahma, yeah. Karya Brahma are the consonants. And that what Baba always used to call causal matrix of the universe. Causal matrix. Now that is the link with mantra, because mantra is each of these acoustic vibrations. They are linked with the cosmic body because they have come out of that cosmic body. So they are the product of that cosmic body. So they have their own unique vibration and unique characteristic. That's why the different combination of different sounds creates different feelings, different emotions, different manifestations are created as a result of permutation and combination of all these different sounds. So this and this Parashakti or Parabindu in the human body, it is manifested as Kulukundalini. So Parashakti then from Muladhara resides in the Muladhara, coiled 3.5 times, representing birth and living and death, and then sanskaras are not finished, so desire for rebirth. So that 3.5 coiled, which we all know as senior acharyas, this is the Parashakti, it is the potential which is lying there. So Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Jyotman, and Madhyama, Shruti Gochara, and Bhakari. Vishuddha Chakra is the Shruti Gochara, and Bhakari when it manifests, when we speak. So mantra is that incantation, that sound vibration which is connected with the cosmic body and the individual body. Now it needs to be energized, it needs to be awakened. So in just like a piece of iron, if it does not have magnetic power, then it's just a piece of iron, but if you magnetize it with a magnet, then it absorbs the magnetic power. So it has something special quality it gets. So same way, the Shabd by itself does not have the ability to raise the Kulukundalini and bring to Sahasrara Chakra, or it cannot vibrate, it cannot reach to the cosmic body. Even though everything has come from that cosmic body, but that our voice, our sound, our thoughts, somehow they do not connect with that parallelism with the cosmic body. So to bring about this parallelism of the individual with the cosmic body, the mantra is needed. Mantra is the tool, mantra is the technology, mantra is the mechanism by which individual can connect with the cosmic. So this work is done by Sadguru, Mahakaul Guru. This work cannot be done by any ordinary person. It is done only by Mahakaul, whose Kulkulni is always at Sasara Chakra. So he brings it down and up, he takes certain incantations. Shiva created certain Ishtamantras. Krishna has created certain Ishtamantras. Baba has added some Ishtamantra. So these, have been energized by the Guru, means they are empowered, they are awakened. So when that mantra is recited with the proper discipline, with proper guidelines, when proper secrecy, there are certain things which are part of our spiritual initiation process, transmission process. So when those things are followed, then they work and they are able to bring about our spiritual progress. So mantra Chaitanya is, and there are three ways in which to accelerate our speed and progress. One is, as you all know, Shravan, Manana and Nididhyasana. So Shravan means hearing the name of the Lord, hearing, like we listen to Kirtan, we listen to discourses, all these things, anything which is positive, which will help our development, our growth, spiritual progress. So that is Shravan. It takes us, it begins our journey from the vibrational, because the three faculties is basic faculty, primordial faculty and the vibrational faculty. In Baba's, like Sanchar, Pratisanchar, Dhara, what is there is, first is the basic faculty, Kaushiki Shakti is dominant there. And then comes the Bhairavi Shakti. And then comes Bhavani Shakti. So this is from subtle to crude, from supreme to the material. This is working. And then again we have to reverse the process. First we have to cross the vibrational phase. So vibration means the mind has to be it has to be shaken up. So the Ishta mantra, when it strikes, when we recite it, when we get initiated, it strikes on the Kulakundalini and raises it. So that is where the vibrational faculty is aroused. When that vibrational faculty is aroused, then it will, through regular sadhana, by controlling all the vrittis, first there are all the basic propensities are there, Kam, Krodh, Kam, Artha, Dharma and Moksha, all the four basic propensities are there. And then the different propensities, all these, are you aware? Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha, Vagya, Murcha, Prashraya, Vishwas, Sarvanas, Krurta, Lajja, Pishunta, Isha, Susupti, Visat, Kasai, Krishna, Moh, Grina, Bhai, Asha, Chinta, Cheshta, Mamta, Dham, Vivek, Vikalta, Ahankar, Lolta, Kaparta, Vitarpanta, Shadab, Rashab, Gandhar, Madhyam, Pancham, Devat, Nishad, Om, Hum, Bhat, Vasat, Vasat, Swaha, Nama, Vishamrita, Para, Para. So these 50 propensities have to be mastered. And then the Kundalini crosses from the vibrational stage, it goes into the primordial phase, and then ultimately it goes into the basic, the source from where it has come, non-attributional phase. This is our journey, the spiritual journey. And in that, unless we are given that grace through the mantra Chaitanya, through that Purushacharan process with the Guru, by which Guru magnetizes the mantra or awakens the mantra and transmits it through the proper medium, So that's why when people don't follow certain conduct rules and they leave, the mantra does not work for them. Because it is inbuilt into the system. If you violate the system, its power also disappears. The vibrational faculty doesn't work. It will only work if you follow certain codes of conduct, certain which are prescribed for the practice of Tantra Sadhana. So that's why, people, even though they knew our mantras, Ishta mantras, but when they left, it has no effect. It doesn't work for them and their mind goes completely in a different direction. So just knowing the mantra does not mean it will bring about. It is, encoded, it is coated with certain discipline. and one has to follow the discipline in order to be able to get the benefit from the mantra. And that is what brings us closer to the Guru and which brings us closer to the Supreme. 16. These 16 are the, like vowels, which is related with the Karan Brahma, and means all the musical, octave. It is the product of that, and all the subtle energies which are prevalent in the universe. There was one yogi. His name was Swami Vishuddhanand. Pandit Gopinath Kaviraj was his disciple. He got initiated from him. He used to live in Varanasi. He is known as the Praneta of Surya Vigyan, means the solar science. What he used to do, he used to take a piece of magnifying glass and just focus the rays of the sun in a certain way, and he can convert a granite stone into a flower into some medicinal thing or something else. And it was not using the yoga kriya. He said, I'm not using any yogic power for this. This is the science of, this Surya Vigyan they call it, means the solar science. So actually in this universe, because the potential of this creation is in Parashakti. Para is the womb of all the potentiality which is present in the cosmos. And that is the, comes from beginning of Sagun Brahma. Beyond that is Nirgun Brahma. So one has, if one wants to go closer and closer to the Supreme, then one can easily get stuck in these material forms. The play of sound, the play of taste, the play of colors, the play of music. People get stuck with somebody is into music and then they forget. Then Baba says they only go and become luminous body with something. So actually hidden behind all of this physical universe is the world of microvita. That is really bringing about. Microvita is the link between the material and the ideational world, the ideas and the spiritual world. It's not spiritual, but it is the link between the world of spirit and the world of matter. So Param Purush, through the microvita or through the, and that is the grace. Baba told what is microvita? It's nothing but the grace of Parama Purusha. It is the grace of Parama Purusha. Now that Parama Purusha is present everywhere, in everything, and yet we are not oblivious of it. Because we are caught with our sanskaras and our mindset, which has been influenced by the material world. And for us, material things are more important. Land, money, property, relations, all these things, they preoccupy most of our time. But actually, those things are worthless. In a spiritual life, for spiritual goal, they are worthless. They don't take us. Baba says the most important wealth of a sadhak is devotion. Something which you cannot measure, something which you cannot hold, but that love for the Supreme, which is beyond all physical manifestations, material manifestations. To cultivate that love for the Supreme, love for the Guru, this is the most rarest of wealth in this world, more than all the gold which exists on this earth, or all these different so-called treasures and the precious jewels which we have in this world. But we are born in this world, we live in this world, and our mind is influenced by this world, and it runs by those things. So we are stuck. We are all stuck. Means even sadhakas get completely influenced by, what to talk of the normal people. They are completely lost there. So the purpose of our seminar is to make people conscious of the spiritual dimension of life, but not ignoring the material dimension. We talk about the material dimension. The only reason I talked about this cosmology is just to give us a sense that even on the material plane, how vast this creation is. Just imagine, just one Milky Way galaxy is just a small speck of dust in this cosmological order. And yet, human life on this earth is much more precious than all the billions of stars which are there, because there is a manifestation of mind. And behind this mind, we have the possibility and the awareness to reflect and to come closer to the source of this whole creation. You know. So there may be, Baba also told in his discourses, in his Anandavanis, that people will have to accept one day that the future of this, all the, this universe is tied together. So there may be life on other planets. We are desperately trying to find out if there is life on other planets. But it cannot be visible easily through our telescopes. There are 4 big telescopes currently on this world which are monitoring. One is as you know, it was Hubble telescope, which was launched in 2009. Then there was James Webb Space Telescope, which was launched, I think, 2021. And then there is now European Space Agency has launched Euclid, which is Chinese also have. But Chinese have something which others don't have, and that is radio telescope. They can listen to the radio signals from far off galaxies, and that's only with China. America doesn't have, India doesn't have, many of the other people do not have. They have invested in it. It was helped by the NASA also. They helped them to set it up, but they have made progress in that. So, and it may be possible to establish the link not with these. There was this voyage. There were 2 spaceships which were launched by NASA many years ago, and one was called Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Voyager 2 was launched first, and Voyager 1 2 months later, and those they have gone into the far off galaxies, and they are sending photographs. Now finally the Voyager number 1 is running out of fuel and is not able to send proper things. Just only a few weeks ago or a few months ago it began to happen. So we today know a lot more about this physical universe than we knew even 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago. So there is a lot more, and but that physical universe is just a small, part of this creation. What we are interested in is that, where there is development of mind and there is the manifestation of spirit. So Baba coming on this earth, Mahakal, the one who, is omnipresent, omnipotent, and yet he lived with us just like an ordinary person. He lived with us. Means that beauty, that grace, the future generations will not have. So our job is to make them aware of the beauty and the grandeur of Baba's coming on this earth, and so that they can understand that this sadhana which they are getting is blessed, is empowered by Mahakaul Guru, and then through this, we can continue our journey. So this process will continue. So, I have, given you a nutshell of what is there in the seminar notes. Of course, you all have a copy of the seminar notes. You can, go through it. But the basic, the gist of that was that Baba had explained. This discourse was given in 1967 in Allahabad. I was present in that DMC in Allahabad when Baba gave this discourse. And it was where Baba had explained the speciality of Tantra Sadhana in terms of Mantra Chaitanya. Means that it is spiritually empowered. Mantra is,